Okay, good morning, children. Apple pie today, so I'm just going to do my normal thing, which is just to tell you which ingredients you need, and as usual I've put them all out. Okay, so you need 4 or 5 very large apples. First of all, we need 4 apples, we need 2 eggs, we need some vanilla essence, some baking powder, a little bit of honey for the end. If you don't have honey, I can solve it with some other thing. We need some sugar, we need some cinnamon. I've also got sticks of cinnamon which are here. I like to add a few raisins. You don't have to add raisins, that's optional. We need some margarine, some flour, and some milk, and that's what we need. So let's get started. The first thing we have to do is core and peel our apples and slice them into segments, so let's do that. Okay, children, so the first step is to peel the apples. As you can see, I've done there the peels, here they are. And now we're just going to take out the apple cores and then cut them in segments and then put them in the pot with a little bit of cinnamon and sugar and a cup of water and cook them for about 20 minutes. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, children, so here you can see are my apples, which I've cut very beautifully, and I've cleaned them and I've made sure that there are no pips and stalks and there's no extra skin, and I've washed them, and now we're going to cook them. Okay, so I've put them in my pan. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, I prefer to. I just add a few raisins and cranberries just to kind of make it a little bit tastier. And then we add some cinnamon and sugar. So I've got some cinnamon sticks over here, and I'm going to add a few little cinnamon sticks, not a lot. And then I also have some powdered cinnamon, which is this one, ground cinnamon, so I'm going to add a little bit of that. And then as part of my general ingredients, we need 1.5 cups of sugar, which I've poured into this big jug. And we need some sugar for this, so let's just put in about 1/4 cup of sugar, roughly, because you need 1.5 cups of sugar for the whole pie, so it's all going into the same place anyway. And now we can cook this, so let's put the lid on. Oh wait, we need, sorry, before we do that, we need 1/2 cup of water. So here's my Egyptian cup as usual that I love, and we'll put some water in and we'll start cooking this. Okay, so as you can see, the apples and cinnamon and the few raisins have been cooking for a while. They're not quite soft yet, and there's still a little bit of water, so I guess maybe another 15 minutes or so until they're completely soft, and then we'll make the batter to put on top. Okay, children, as you can see, the apples are quite ready now. They've cooked, they've softened, the cinnamon and sugar's gone in. There's almost no water. There's a little bit of syrup at the bottom of the pan, and this is the level that we need our apples to be before we prepare our batter and we start to bake them. Okay, so let's do the batter now. Take your margarine here and you slice it on the 50-gram line. You can just use 1/4 of the block of margarine if, of course, you have 200-gram blocks. So just slice 1 50-gram piece, and that's fine. Here are 2 eggs. We need our apples, cinnamon, vanilla, and some honey. Okay, that's my honey. That's my 1 cup of flour. And the next thing that we need to do, besides cooking our apples, is we need to heat our margarine and then just set it aside. So let's do that. Okay, so the first thing you do when you make your batter is you'll melt your 50 grams of margarine, and here it is in the bowl. And then I take my eggs over here and I break them and I mix them with my sugar, and we have an egg and sugar mix. So that's step number 1. Melt your margarine and then mix your eggs and sugar. Okay, so I'm going to start with my eggs. And then add my sugar, and once that's mixed I add my flour. So this sugar, and now we mix. Okay, so I've got my flour and my sugar and my eggs mixed beautifully, and now I add my 1 cup of flour. Here it is. If you want to, you can sieve it, and then once you mix your flour in, your 1/4 cup of milk, which is this. So you add your milk, and then you slowly start to add your margarine. Mixture there. I'm going to add my melted margarine, which I'm going to do now. And then finally, the final thing to do is 1 teaspoon of vanilla, here it is, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, so that's my teaspoon of baking powder going in. And next is vanilla. Okay, so next we pour in the vanilla essence, we mix it all, and then we divide our apples and pour this over the apples. Okay, so hold on for the next part. I'm going to mix this now. Okay, so in the meantime, I've set out 2 dishes. I'm making 2 smaller apple pies only because, as I told you, I live alone and I can't eat everything that I make every day. So I'm going to make 2 small ones and give 1 away. In the meantime, I've heated up my oven. It tells me that it's ready. It's 180 degrees. And now what I'm going to do is take my apples over here, divide them into the 2 pans and pour the batter on top. So that's the next step, okay? Right, so let's get cracking with that. So you can see I've divided my apple mixture between the 2. It's got some cinnamon, it's got a few little cranberries in, it's got some raisins as well. And now we're going to pour our batter, and we divide our batter over both of them. Okay, so here we go, pouring, and try to get, in my case, half of each, and then we bake. And that's it. After we've done this part, you bake it for about, I don't know, 35-40 minutes. We'll see. Okay, as you can see, I finished pouring. It doesn't matter if a few of the apples poke through. That's quite fine, because we are actually going to pour a bit of honey on top anyway, and normally when you do that, you poke them with a fork. So now we are ready to put them in our oven. Let's do that. Okay, so there they are, and I'm going to leave them now for about 40 minutes or so, and I'll get back to you later and see what they taste like. Okay, well, it's been about 35 minutes. Whoops, so we have a lot of steam. Okay, they look about ready. Let's test it. Okay, so here they are. Let's see if they are, yep, they're perfect. This apple pie recipe forms a slight crust, so as you can see, as I poke them, you can hear the crunching as the crust breaks and the apples underneath, and everything is fine. And now what I'm going to do is just poke them a little bit more and then pour a bit of honey on them to soften the crust, and that's the final step. Okay, so children, I've poked them with a fork, and as you can see, this one is done the whole way through and the crust has cracked. This one I have to bake a little bit more because you can see there's still a lot of liquid here, but in the meantime I'm going to put the honey anyway and then bake it a little bit more with the honey, and that'll be it. It's a kind of cake that's not so precise, and we can fix it along the way. Okay, so what I've done is I've just squirted a little bit of honey over the top like this, and then I'm going to flatten it a bit with a spoon. It's nice and soft and it melts, so you can spread the honey easily. This one I've also done, and as you can see, there's the honey, and I'll just spread it in, and then I'm going to put this one in the oven for about, I don't know, 5 or 10 more minutes until this like soft bit is baked. But basically they're ready. Well, at least one of them is ready anyway. So that's it. So that is essentially the final result, although this one goes for 10 more minutes. Okay, so as you can see, I baked this one again for about 10 more minutes, and it's completely baked and the honey is soaked in, and in fact it's quite perfect. So now's the time just to have some fresh cream, whip it up, put it on your apple pie and enjoy. Alright my darlings, have fun. Okay, good.